Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. Okay, if you play golf, you absolutely know the exact feeling we're about to tackle today. Picture this. You pull up to the very first hole of the day, you step onto the tee box, and suddenly your palms are sweating, your heart is racing, and your brain is just an absolute hurricane of swing mechanics and wild expectations, right? It's a completely universal pain point that honestly ruins rounds before they even really start. But today, we are unpacking some source material that entirely flips the script. We're going to completely deconstruct those chaotic, stressful opening holes and replace them with a completely bulletproof routine. So, let's get into it. Okay, let's dive into this. I want you to be really honest with yourself for a second. When you step up to hit that terrifying first drive of the day, what is actually going through your head? I mean, are you truly strategizing, or are you just sort of prying? If we're being real, for most of us, it's just a massive jumble of chaotic, ego-driven swing thoughts. You're probably standing there thinking, oh, I gotta show everyone what my driver can do, or let me try out that weird swing tweak I practiced yesterday. Or maybe, you just bought a brand new club and you're desperate to see how far you can smash it. We all do it. But the author of our source material points out something absolutely crucial. Thinking about these tiny swing details on the very first tee actually invites total disaster. As they so perfectly put it, the moment you start overthinking, the evil spirits just attach themselves to your swing. You try way too hard to force a result, and boom, your drive completely falls apart. So, here is our roadmap for the first hole journey. 1. The first tee chaos. 2. The blank mind drive. 3. Awaken your muscle memory. 4. The 5-10-15 putting system. And 5. The amateur reality check. Section 1. The first tee chaos, overthinking versus execution. And this brilliantly illustrates the stark difference between how the average recreational golfer handles this moment versus a truly prepared player. We all know side A, right? The myth we constantly tell ourselves is that it's completely normal to need 3 to 5 holes just to warm up, adapt, and sort of find our rhythm. We just write off those ugly early bogeys and double bogeys as, oh well, those are just warm-up holes. But look over at side B. The prepared golfer actually plays their absolute best on those exact same first 3 to 5 holes. Why? Well, because they don't rely on some magical mid-round momentum. They rely on a solid physical foundation. By stretching, keeping their body ready, and not fighting themselves mentally, those early holes can literally become your most dominant. Section 2. The blank mind drive. Effortless power. So if overthinking invites the evil spirits, how do we actually execute that crucial first shot of the day? Well, the answer is a totally counterintuitive approach. It's about having absolutely zero specific agenda on the tee box. Literally no swing thoughts, no club expectations, nothing. Step 1, you check the scorecard and the layout. Step 2, physically find the green on the fairway so your brain actually knows the target. Step 3, loosen up with a few practice swings just to dial in your direction. And then step 4, you just hit the ball. You swing naturally. Don't try to feel a specific wrist hinge or a perfect hip turn. Just trust the swing you brought with you that day. Now, to make that blank mind swing actually work, you absolutely have to embrace this number, 60 to 70%. Look, on the first tee, your body is simply not fully loose yet. There should be absolutely no temptation to swing hard or chase crazy speed. Swinging at 60 to 70% power creates incredible consistency. It completely prevents overswinging. And honestly, here's the best part. Even if you do mishit the ball at 70%, the damage is totally manageable. It keeps you in play. It's only when your inner ego takes over and you try to swing at 110% that things go wildly sideways. Section 3. Awaken your muscle memory. The approach shot. Okay, so we've safely driven the ball down the fairway, right? But we absolutely cannot just grab an iron and rush the shot like we're some tour pro on TV. What's really crucial here is this concept of a muscle memory trigger. This is simply about taking a few extra practice swings to explicitly confirm the exact feel of contact and follow-through before you actually pull the trigger on the real shot. When we rush, we completely ignore the basics, and that's exactly what results in those ugly, chunked iron shots that totally ruin a great drive. But taking just a few seconds to trigger your muscle memory, that turns chaotic iron play into automatic pars, or hey, maybe even sets up an unexpected birdie. Moving on to Section 4, the 5-10-15 putting system, from guessing to knowing. For years, so many amateur golfers have approached early hole putting by just purely guessing, which, as we know, usually leads to a whole lot of really frustrating three-putts. The fix for this actually happens before you even tee off, using a highly specific practice green formula. Instead of just rolling a few random putts while you chat with your buddies, you get structured. First, you hit 5-foot putts until you perfectly match your stroke force to that short distance. Then, you step back to 10-foot putts to dial in your medium distance force. Finally, you move to 15-foot putts to master the long distance. And the rule is, you do not move to the next distance until you have absolutely mastered the correct force at your current one. So the really crucial point here is that this structured warm-up dictates your understanding of the day's green speed. It basically hardwires a reliable force reference right into your brain. When you step onto that actual first screen, your putting suddenly has real direction. Sure, the course screens might roll slightly differently than the practice screen did, but because you have this built-in baseline, you can make incredibly quick, experience-based corrections on the fly. Section 5. The Amateur Reality Check. Mindset and Expectations. Now, we need to shift gears away from physical mechanics for a second and talk about mental forgiveness. Because, let's face it, the standards amateurs hold themselves to are often completely absurd. I absolutely love this quote from the source material. Plenty of course screens, roll like the streets of New York, nothing flat about them. Cut yourself some slack. It is so true. We are not professionals playing on perfectly manicured glass-like surfaces. If you are out there two-putting on unmaintained, bumpy greens, you're genuinely an expert. So, we need to establish an enjoyment mandate. You've got to stop beating yourself up and obsessing over 2 putts being the only acceptable standard. Forgive yourself for 3 putts, man. They happen to everyone. Remember, you are not taking a final exam out there. If you're playing on a course you've never been to before, give yourself permission to just put the scorecard aside entirely. You have to remember why you showed up in the first place. You were there to enjoy the game. And funny enough, lowering those unrealistic expectations actually frees you up to play so much better. Let's see how all of this builds into the ultimate pre-round fix. Because listen, everything we just talked about is completely useless if you are sprinting from your car directly to the first tee. You need a timeline. 30 minutes before your tee time, you arrive at the course, without rushing. 20 minutes before, you're stretching and physically loosening up your body. 10 minutes before, you are on the practice green executing that 5, 10, 15 putting system. So that at exactly 0 minutes, right at your tee time, you can step up to the ball, completely unstressed, with a blank mind, totally ready to swing at a smooth 70%. Which leaves us with one final thought. The ultimate solution to your first tee anxiety isn't some magical new driver, and it definitely isn't a complex swing thought. It is simply time and preparation. So I have to ask, next time you play, will you actually give yourself the 30 minutes needed to conquer the first tee? Or will you keep letting chaos dictate your round? Think about it, and take back control of your game. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.